and welcome to another episode of the Positude podcast. I'm your host, Maggie Heart, here on my big comfy couch with my big cup of coffee. Little snacky snack tonight. What do I have? Oh, all natural salt and vinegar potato chips. Hopefully there's no crickets in there. There better not be crickets in my food or somebody's going to be paying.
I'm no fool, no siree. I want to live to be 93. I play safe for you and me, 'cause I'm no fool. As I said to Pinocchio, there's two ways to do anything, the right way and the wrong way.
Well, Jiminy, here's hoping your cousins Hominy and Overby feel the same way. Hopefully they're somewhere out there in full military assault gear and camouflage, hiding from the bad guys who are taking and harvesting crickets from somewhere and putting them in our food and calling it natural flavors. I don't have a clippy on that tonight, but we have talked about it before on the show. But what have you got tonight as your snacky snack of choice? What you drinking? The reason I ask is because I'm told that I might be having some pretty cool merch coming out soon. I'm planning on having coffee cups, maybe some tumblers, t-shirts or hoodies, but I'm also looking at possibly having blankies for chilly nights, just like tonight when it's freezing out and we're all hanging out in the privacy of our living rooms, having a conversation over a cup of coffee or whatever your chosen beverage is. Wouldn't it be cool to have some Positude swag for our little intimate conversations? I think that'd be awesome. Please remember to like and join my Facebook page and make sure that you hit the thumbs up and subscribe whatever platform you're listening on. Follow the Trim Radio Creator Studio where you'll have access to lots of cool shows. Hopefully you're settled and snuggled in, ready to get going, because we've got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. For those of you that celebrate, it's Christmas week this week, and it may be a day after depending on what platform you're listening to me on. So I have somewhat of a holiday show for you in between all of my heavy clippies. You'll hear snippets of some things you may recognize. Hopefully things that make you laugh and smile, maybe bring you back a little bit, and of course some music too. Since we didn't get around to it last week and I promised you we would cover it this week, we're gonna jump into the whole Erica and Candace Owens debacle. If you missed this arc, congrats on having a functional nervous system. These two came in like it was WWE SmackDown, tweets flying, eyes blazing, everybody bracing for a full cultural cage match, and then somehow bromance. Not friendship, not peace, bromance. The internet was like, wait, weren't y'all enemies? And they were like, yeah, but now we trauma bonded over microphone and vibes. That's how you know this timeline is cracked. Enemies don't reconcile. They just podcast together. And can we talk about the internet obsessing over Erica's eyes? Yeah, she's got issues. Is she a clone? Is she a reptilian? Is she oppressed/possessed? I'm going with the latter. And every comment section turned into the Exorcist fan club. Her eyes look possessed. She blinked like a lizard. Zoom in at 0.75 speed. That's not human. Listen, in 2025, if most of their eyes don't look demon adjacent, you're not paying hard enough attention to the news. Watch the casters. But anyway, the internet lost its adult supervision. The internet short-circuited because we're trained for enemies, not reconciliation. They went from I rebuke thee to let's go get coffee. I'm going to spend a few minutes more on this. I have more clippies than I've been sharing on the whole Kirkology tonight just because everybody wants information and I want you to listen to it and use your own judgment. I'm not even going to go into the whole details of her previous relationship stuff. We're going to touch on some things and then get out. It's like 5 or 6 clippies, different perspectives. For those of you that didn't think I was sharing enough on the subject and then had the audacity to tell me, well, so-and-so show said this, why didn't you talk about it? You guys are funny because it's a distraction. But there are some things that we should be aware of so we can make better informed decisions. Me, I pray on a lot of it and meditate, and that's how I know what's going on. I feel it in my gut or I don't. I feel strong pings and pulls to the affirmative or the negative, but since I respect you guys so much, I'm going to try and accommodate, and yeah, we got a bunch of clips about that. Also from last week, because we ran out of time, Trump, Ilhan Omar, Michigan, and the auto pen pic. Trump showing a chic a picture he swapped in the White House, Biden out, auto pen in. That's not politics. That's petty performance art. It's museum level trolling. And Trump with Ilhan Omar over a barrel? The internet is treating it like a chess match when really it may be just reality TV with better lighting. And I got another clippy about chicken tonight. Boy, if I keep this up, chickies are gonna have to have their own segment weekly. Well, actually, if they keep it up, because they're messing with our food again. Or still, there's this woman who brought chicken, and she was like, why does this look like it came out of a printer? And honestly, fair question. Because food lately has the texture of a software update. Chicken shouldn't have layers. If it peels like wallpaper, I'm not eating it. I don't want plant-based, lab-grown, or printer-ready. I want farm-raised, emotionally stable chicken. A chicken in every pot shouldn't mean a shrinky-dink of foghorn leghorn. And I got a pre-World War III clippy for you. Everybody online is, of course, a geopolitical prophet nowadays. You can't scroll without somebody whispering dramatically, this is how it started last time. They've got ominous music, black and white filters, shock footage of tanks, and zero historical citations. Bro, last time it started like this, people still used typewriters. Oh, and before I forget, if you didn't listen last week, go back and listen to the archives. When I was talking about the one where the little kid predicted the flood, the guy who did the video was wrong when he said that the world would end by a flood. But I listened to my show as it aired Friday night, and it occurred to me that it wasn't as clear from my perspective as it should have been to relate to you. The world is not going to end by flood next time. But I should have elaborated a little bit more in that doesn't necessarily mean there's not going to be a flood, and a pretty decent sized flood in the future, because that is something that I had been shown in vision years ago, and I've had repeated visions of such over the years. So just to clarify, the world isn't going to end that way, but that doesn't mean that there won't be some sizable flooding in the future. And that also aligns with biblical revelation. The Bible refers to flooding both symbolically and literally in Revelation. And this is something that I've prayed and meditated on quite a bit over the years. Weather modification will play a part in that also, potentially. But if enough of us send positive energy, shift our mindsets, do what we're supposed to do, it may not be as bad as the worst case scenario that I've seen. And I'm just going to leave that right there for now. Moving on, I have a clippy of a bodyguard who meets a jinn, as in Middle Eastern folklore, shapeshifter, interdimensional trickster. The guy says that she shapeshifted, so you're telling me you met a jinn at a bar in this economy? And honestly, I believe it, because bars are where reality is weakest. That's where you meet your exes, demons, and people named Kyle who think crypto is coming back. It's not, however, where you try to coax me to go talk about business on a job you didn't do the right way. Yeah, shout out to that guy if you're listening. I would just like to take this opportunity to have faith in humanity and send positive energy to all of the people out there that are still talking the talk and not walking the walk. They're posting John Wayne quotes, talking about how moral and ethical and upright they are, and how they were raised with different family values than the kids nowadays that have no respect, and they stand by their word but don't follow through. I hope that they find the strength and the courage inside of them to recognize that they are progressing, but they're still being somewhat narcissistic when they're not recognizing the fact that they're still talking the talk but not walking the walk. And there will come a time where they will have to face and stand up and be held accountable for the things that they said that they did. And accountability is a really big deal. You may be thinking that you're BSing the people on social media, but the universe, the guy upstairs, whoever you believe to be in charge, sees right through that. So that's something that you're going to have to take up with your higher power, because it's going to come around and bite you in the ass eventually. Being a man or being a woman isn't merely a matter of physical brawn or the shape of your body. It's what's inside of you. Look at Davy and Goliath. The bigger doesn't mean the strongest. It's what's in your heart that matters, and whether or not you do the right thing. It's the whole package. And how you act is going to draw the energy and the backing that you need to get by in the times that you're really going to need it, i.e. the angels and your higher power. It's your free will choice that you're making right now to do the right thing, do the wrong thing, or it's somebody else's fault. It's never your own fault. Well, that might work for now, but it's not going to work in the end times, I can assure you. So for those of us that are progressing, but still not quite there, let's everybody send a quick prayer or some energy that they see the light and come full circle and really start to make some progress, because the clock is ticking. And as these people are working on themselves and really trying to make a difference, and they step out and say, you know what, I didn't do the right thing on this. I got to fix it. I got to make it right, because I have to live with myself and I have to live with the consequences from a higher source. So I'm going to do the right thing. When those people decide that and make that free will decision, everything shifts for them. It shifts collectively. That energy goes out, not just for them, but we're a ripple in a pond. It affects so many people, more than they can even fathom or imagine. And we need to remember too, that as these people are learning and growing, to give them a little bit of grace. If they turn around and they do the right thing, then we don't need to hammer them home or stomp them into the ground. What we need to do is support them and let them know how proud we are of them, that they're taking the right road and they're doing the right thing. If they don't, dust off your sandals. It's not your place to judge them. What's going to matter for you is how you handle the situation. You have every right to defend yourself if they try and malign you or twist your words around. Only take that so far, though. Don't get into that repetitive loop where it's constantly an argument and a he said, she said, when you know in your heart and in your mind that you made the right decision and you were the one that was right. It's okay. You know it. Walk away. They've got to deal with their issues. You be the better person. Deal with it with grace. You can try. Try and get them to see the light. Try and get them to understand your perspective. But if they won't, they're lost to you. Let them go. Pray for them that hopefully someday they find their way and just move on. Hopefully they'll outgrow that adolescent behavior at some point and have that aha moment, that revelation that'll shift their tides for them. Typically what happens in an instant like this, if they're not a full-blown narcissist and they're just having a narcissistic moment or a tendency, they'll recognize it when someone does it to them. Sometimes that's what it takes, unfortunately. But either way, there's my lesson for tonight. So I got that out of the way in my intro. Let's get back to the clippy stuff. Nestle and some other companies are having some problems because apparently there's not enough cocoa in their products anymore. They're filling to try and save money with sugar, filler, vibes, and childhood disappointment. So legally, or technically, they can't term some of their products as chocolate anymore. It's just a brown candy adjacent product. At this point, I want ingredient labels that just say trust issues. Kansas is suing Pfizer and others are side-eyeing it. Yep, Kansas says we have questions and other states are peeking over the cubicle wall like, wait, are we allowed to ask questions now? No matter where you land, you gotta admit, when states start lawyer shopping, the vibe has officially shifted. Retailers are changing their return policies just in time for that holiday season. Before they were like, no receipt, no problem. Now they're like, we see you, we know your name, stop returning stuff. They're blaming the serial returners, but let's be real, they sold us lies. That sweater did not look like that online. The lighting was fraudulent, it had Chinese sizes, and now they're charging us to return stuff? Bold move for companies that still use stock photos from 2009. And Trumpy. Patriot Games and the Hunger Games energy. There's the rumor mill about Trump's Patriot Games. People online immediately went, well, actually not immediately, because he talked about this before he was elected, but now all of a sudden it's trending, and they're going Roman Coliseum, Hunger Games, districts, provinces, teens. The man mentions states, and the internet builds a dystopian trilogy. I'm not saying it is the Hunger Games. I'm saying the internet heard competition and blacked out. And Tulsi Gabbard and Obama clips circulating. She gave a press conference, the internet lights up, and everybody's a constitutional lawyer again. Did anybody watch the full thing? Or just the 12-second clip with dramatic captions? But anyway, that's kind of how modern discourse works. Context is optional. Confidence is mandatory. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out, but it looks like they've got Obama by the meat hooks. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed this holiday season, because it's your holiday season on top of everything else that's going on. Congratulations, you're sane. We've got demon eyes, gin zip bars, printer chicken, pre-war TikToks, chocolate that isn't chocolate, and politics that feel like fan fiction. This isn't left versus right anymore. It never has been. Maybe some of us, all of us, will see that one day. It's online versus reality. Reality is losing Wi-Fi. I don't have a clippy queued up for the 3AIOU Atlas, but if I have some more time at the end, I'll throw it in. More speculation on this thing. What is it? Is it an alien ship that's feeding off of the sun's energy as it goes by? Is it here to attack us? What's it all about? Well, as I told you a couple weeks ago, I was going to try and take some time to pray and meditate and reflect on it. Haven't had a lot of free time to do that, but when I have gone in, I'm just smelling something nasty. Surprise, surprise. Could the government be lying to us? Could this be the preparation for the alien card that Werner von Braun spoke about? And I understand that it would have to be sort of an elaborate hoax for other people to see it in the sky. Like, I get it. Let me put it to you this way. When I look at it, I have no fear. I have curiosity, but I don't have any fear. If it were something that were really out to get us, or something that would be a threat to myself and my family personally, because of the way that I'm built, I would have to feel nervousness, fear, anxiety, flutters, warning signs, any or all of the above, depending on the scenario, because my body lets me know different things for different scenarios, if that makes sense. And I would think if it were a cataclysmic thing that we're going to end the earth in a heartbeat when it decides to, and it's just playing with us like cat and mouse to see, are we going to shoot at it, or what are we going to do if it gets closer, which it's not supposed to. There's a lot to think about here, but I'm not afraid of it. So that indicates to me that it's either phony or it's some sort of, possibly, like I mentioned several weeks ago, some sort of angelic technology. But I'm not feeling any imminent danger off of it, and I get it. I've heard these stories from people about how they're saying that it's got ramps, and yeah, it's changing colors, and it's got decks. It's the ultimate UFO Barbie dream house. I don't know. Maybe it's just Snoopy and company. Let's ask the Royal Guardsman.
Hold on, Snoopy, to do it again. Was the night before Christmas, 40 below. When Snoopy went up in search of his foe, Spot, Red Baron, fiercely they fought, with ice on his wings, they knew it was gone.
Let's face it, NASA has all of this technology. There's the Hubble telescope. There's even the Lucifer telescope the Vatican owns, which I'm pretty sure works on thermal imaging, and this AEIOU is supposed to be throwing out thermal imaging, and they're silent. No great surprise there, because Vatican. All of the published NASA images I could find are pinpoints, little tiny bits of light. 1,000 points of light much? Hello? Remember that? But anyway, they're able to tell from that tiny little pinpoint of light that these things have decks and changes colors. Come on. When they could show me clear-cut images of Alf sitting on the veranda sipping interstellar hot spiced cider, maybe I'll pay attention. The other thing that I wanted to touch briefly on that I don't have a clippy for is the Epstein file thing. Come on, people. How much of this is redacted? FYI, the picture of Michael Jackson where the children were blacked out, they're his children. It was at a public, charity event. They're spinning and twisting these narratives and making up lies as they go. Diversion, diversion, diversion.
My pappy used to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is broke, get a hold of Maggie Heart at MAGGIE_HEART at outlook.com to get it fixed.
Clips left over from last week, but not as perishable as your after Christmas leftover food. About Love Germ, Kick Clip 17 with Fox News and Mark Bland 7. Here we go.
She never cried when old Yellow died. She wasn't washed in the blood of the Lamb. She never stood up for the Star-Spangled Banner, and she wasn't a John Wayne fan.
Most people only catch the headline. What just happened in Minnesota is one of those moments. Because while many Americans saw a headline about Trump ending a program for Somali immigrants, very few understood why he did it, how it connects to Ilhan Omar's district, and what kind of investigation triggered it behind the scenes. This isn't a small administrative adjustment. This is a decisive move aimed at dismantling a network that federal investigators say has been draining taxpayer funds, rerouting money overseas, and destabilizing an entire region of the state. Trump just shut down a program affecting hundreds of people tied to a fraud network with somewhere between 250 and 300 million. And somehow all of it circles back to Minneapolis and a political figure whose district is now under more scrutiny than at any time in recent memory. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened, why so few outlets are explaining the real reason behind Trump's decision, and why this could reshape the political future of Ilhan Omar and Minnesota as a whole. And I want to do this in a way that makes sense because this story matters to every American who pays taxes, who trusts their government to manage programs honestly, and who wonders what happens when those systems break down. So let's start at the beginning. What actually triggered all of this? What made the President of the United States look at one state, one community, and say enough? Trump announced he was terminating something called temporary protected status for Somali immigrants living in Minnesota, effective immediately. Now, if you're not familiar with TPS, it's essentially a legal shield the government grants to people from countries facing disaster or conflict. It allows them to stay in America temporarily without fear of deportation. It's meant to be compassionate, humane, a safety net for people fleeing genuine danger. But here's where things took a hard turn. Trump cited large-scale welfare fraud, money laundering, and the discovery that millions of taxpayer dollars had been funneled into overseas networks, some even reaching extremist groups, according to federal reports. He wasn't just ending a program, he was responding to something much bigger.
That woman was bad to the bone. She never cried when old Yeller died. So do you think I'll cry when she's gone?
He's showing the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia the picture that he put up of Joe Biden. It's just a picture of the auto pen.
Taking questions from reporters. We anticipate both leaders will take questions. We will cover that live as it's coming up. Door here. Let's talk about just briefly.
ICE arrested and deported Santa for crossing the border illegally while doing a dry run last night. The FAA fined him for flying without a license, and his CBP seized the sleigh and the nice list. And based on what's on that list, they are saying we owe $46 million in tariffs before any toys get imported to the United States. In addition, 37 states levied fines for not having yearly vehicle inspections done on the sleigh, and PETA filed an animal cruelty lawsuit for our use of reindeer. Now, a lot of rumors going around down there that he is in the Epstein files. But like I've said before, he visited that island but to drop off coal. That's it. Our rescue attempt this morning at the detention center was not a success, as we accidentally brought back... Hey, what's your name again? Carlos. Look, we are going to find someone to get this team ready for Christmas. Hey, somebody call down and see if Bob Huggins is up for some seasonal work.
I tossed some Confederate Railroad in there as a little treat for you. The next two are the ones about Nestle by My Health Forward and Kansas by Happy Traveler X.
Nestle can no longer label a number of its candies as chocolate because it cut out so much cocoa. Chocolate companies have been quietly removing cocoa from their products due to decreased cacao yields and increased prices. In place of cocoa, companies are using more vegetable oils, sugar, and other ingredients. Toffee Crisp and Blue Ribbon no longer can be called chocolate, as well as Almond Joy, Mr. Goodbar, and Rolo no longer being able to advertise as having milk chocolate. The New York Times article covering these changes comes only months after the producer Mars announced a partnership with a Bayer Monsanto-backed firm to create gene-edited cacao plants. So if you notice a difference in any of your favorite chocolates this Christmas, now you know why.
Thank you for being here today. We brought together this press conference to make the following announcement, and that is today Kansas is filing a civil suit against the Pfizer Corporation under the Kansas Consumer Protection Act, seeking enhanced civil monetary penalties, damages, and injunctive relief for misleading and deceptive statements made in marketing its COVID-19 vaccine. Pfizer also violated previous consent judgments with the state of Kansas, in which Pfizer promised never to use deceptive information to market their products. Kansas's case is the first of a multi-state collaboration, with Kansas being the first of 5 states to file suit. Before I go further, let me put this in context. As we all know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a great deal of panic and anxiety. Many people who were elderly or who suffered from various medical conditions had already died when the vaccines became available. And when that time came, when the vaccines became available, every one of us had to make 2 decisions. Am I going to take the vaccine? And if so, which vaccine will I choose to take? And these decisions were being made in a hurry. In some ways, you could say even being made under duress. In such an environment, it is imperative that Kansans making that decision receive the truth. They needed the truth. All Americans needed the truth. And in multiple respects, Pfizer did not provide the truth. Much of the information in this lawsuit came out as a result of a FOIA lawsuit seeking information from Pfizer that still had not been made public. And it was only a result of that effort that some of the information in this lawsuit is available. I urge everyone to read the 69-page complaint that goes into great detail about the specific statements that were made and the misleading nature of those statements made to Kansas consumers. The following is a quick summary of, I think, some of the 4 most egregious examples of misleading the public in Kansas. Pfizer marketed its vaccine as safe for pregnant women. However, in February of 2021, Pfizer possessed reports for 458 pregnant women who received Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine during pregnancy. More than half of the pregnant women reported an adverse event, and more than 10% reported a miscarriage, many within days of the vaccination. Pfizer also possessed information from its own October 2020 study on pregnancy in rats, indicating that its COVID-19 vaccine was likely linked to infertility, loss of litters, and stillborn offspring. Number 2, safety relating to heart conditions like myocarditis. Pfizer consistently denied any evidence of a connection or safety signal between its COVID-19 vaccine and myocarditis or pericarditis. Indeed, on January 18th, 2023, when asked whether its vaccine caused strokes or myocarditis, Pfizer chairman and CEO Alan Berla stated, quote, "We've not seen a single signal, although we have distributed billions of doses," end quote. A signal that he was referring to as a safety signal, which refers to a negative consequence. However, as Pfizer knew, the United States government, the United States military, foreign governments, and others had found that Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine caused myocarditis and pericarditis. Number 3, effectiveness regarding variants. Pfizer also claimed that its COVID-19 vaccine protected against COVID-19 variants, even though data available at the time showed Pfizer's vaccine was effective less than half the time against variants. Finally, transmission. Pfizer urged Americans to get vaccinated in order to protect their loved ones, clearly indicating a claim that Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccination stopped transmission of COVID-19. Pfizer later admitted that it never even studied transmission of it after its recipients received the vaccine and whether they could say it stopped transmission. After making these misleading statements, Pfizer also engaged in some censorship attempts. Emails revealed that Pfizer officials coordinated with social media platforms to censor any speech critical of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine safety and effectiveness. It should also be noted that Pfizer elected not to join the federal government's vaccine development program known as Operation Warp Speed and declined that development funding. When asked about that, Pfizer's CEO, Albert Bourla, said Pfizer did not participate in the program in order to, quote, liberate, end quote, Pfizer's scientists and to avoid government oversight of its vaccine development. He also said, quote, "They want reports. I don't want to have any of that," end quote. Referring to they, when he said they, he was referring to the federal government. Pfizer's misleading statements contributed to success in marketing its vaccine in Kansas. By February of 2024, Pfizer had delivered over 3.3 million doses of its vaccine in the state of Kansas. This accounted for over 60% of all vaccine doses given in the state of Kansas. This suit is being filed today, and as I mentioned before, it is part of a multi-state effort in which more suits may follow depending on Pfizer's reaction. But this is about marketing products to the public. As I think most people know, the federal government conferred immunity on the vaccine manufacturers for tort suits seeking damages from injuries they received. But that did not free any of the vaccine manufacturers from their obligation to not mislead the public or make deceptive statements in marketing it. So this is principally about the marketing efforts that were made and how they contradicted what the company knew.
Let's get into the Kirkopedia and get that over with. I have clippies by Alaya, Demiza, The Light, Burden, and Godfather of Chaos to start.
Oh, she ain't hard to get, the girl gets around. Those that she met, they're destined to drown. She'll make a change like you never believe. She'll turn a working man into a thief. Oh, she's Erica. She's Erica.
So as if this Erica Kirk saga couldn't get any stranger, the former Miss Arizona 2012 is probably waking up to a firestorm this morning. And it's not courtesy of Candace Owens. TPUSA's tax returns are public, and two major bombshells came from it. An almost $1.5 million payment for social media went to an empty parking lot in Arizona. And also, reports are surfacing that there was a $20 to $30 million life insurance policy taken out on Charlie Kirk. And what makes even more unsettling news is now a resurfaced clip from Erica's Megyn Kiley interview, where she claims in it the now famous billionaire donor meeting, that same meeting where Charlie was allegedly offered $150 million and a trip to Israel. Bibi himself was on the phone and asked Charlie in one of his first questions, what would TPUSA do if something happened to you? Now, in hindsight, that question sounds less like strategy and more like a warning. It also lines up disturbingly with what Candace Owens said, that Charlie told someone right before he died, "I think I'm going to be killed." What's even stranger is Erica's claim that Charlie, a man known for saying that women should stay at home and raise the family, allegedly responded Erica would do a great job running it. And now she's the CEO of the largest youth political street team machine in America. Mix that up with Erica's background as a reality TV personality and beauty queen, her long-standing ties to Donald Trump, her mother's connections to Homeland Security, her father being knighted by the King of Sweden, and online chatter about her Romania Angels nonprofit and child trafficking allegations, and this is just getting crazy. Add in the fact that Charlie was assassinated shortly after he began questioning a foreign country's influence in U.S. politics, and the timeline becomes impossible to ignore. Story developing.
DuPont and Burisma, DuPont and Burisma, DuPont and Burisma. That's what Candace Owens is working on with this DuPont connection to Pierre DuPont, this mafia ultimatum, this do or die, 24 hours within the death of Charlie Kirk. And we are working the last 9 years, our research group, on DuPont and Burisma. Burisma is a cover. Burisma actually means shadow created by one planet on another planet, right? So that's what Burisma means. A shadow, we've worked on it for 9 years, a shadow of Libya, a cover story for Syria, a cover story for Ukraine, the CIA overthrow in Ukraine, and the eventual war, which we were expecting and which did occur. And now we're looking at this Pierre DuPont as the conduit to keep the war going. Not just a couple of years, but an Iraq type of war, the Ukraine war to become an Afghanistan type of war, a Vietnam type of war, a 15 to 20 year war. This Burisma plan has been in place for 10 years, starting with the CIA overthrow of Ukraine. Who is the key agent? We had an Henri DuPont. Now Candace has this Pierre DuPont. who's in the war? Who's in the way of the war? Who's in the way of the war? Who is in the way of the war? Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's in the way of the war. He's starting to talk against it. He's about ready to start his big college tour talking against the war. Who is in the way of the war, and what do people do when you get in the way of the war? That's the question we're trying to ask. We're here in Denver. We're going to be moving on to Michigan. We're going to be moving on to Tennessee. Going all around the country to ask this question. And we're bringing the best people in citizen journalism to tell you the truth.
Erica wasn't chosen for love. She was selected for infiltration. Her assignment? Get close, gain power, flip the mission, and let the synagogue of Satan corrupt the faith of an entire generation. And here's the terrifying part. It's working perfectly, exactly as designed. The synagogue of Satan isn't some dusty Bible footnote. It's the inner circle that actually runs the show. Old blood banking families, intelligence cutouts, and billionaire donors who hide behind the Star of David while they finish what the book of Revelation warned about. These people are not the biblical Hebrews. They are the extremely evil Khazarian mafia who are from Eastern Europe. They mass converted to Judaism in the 7th century. They are who the Revelation chapter 2 verse 9 calls the synagogue of Satan. Those who say they are but are not. And they're desperate to keep this information hidden. She's not the first to accept her 30 pieces of silver. She won't be the last. And now, she's starting to speak in Hebrew to prove that she's a good and loyal Zionist soldier.
It's those little things where, again, he would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us.
When she finished wiping away her imaginary tears, Erica began spreading her satanic heresy. The terrifying part is that Erica Kirk's infiltration of American Christianity has begun. The evidence is there for everybody to see. Billion-dollar companies flush with funding are training hundreds of thousands of pastors to adapt their message to stop serving Jesus Christ and serve the state of instead.
So I'm giving you many different perspectives. The next one here is Mapo Plano. It's a guy who thinks that a professional makeup artist is the person who posed as Charlie Kirk the day of the shooting. Then I have a confirmed psychopath who diagnoses Erica Kirk, Jax the Ripper. Then some music by the Cars and X Munson in this triple shot.
What if this guy is actually this guy? He's a Hollywood special makeup artist who won 6 Emmy Awards for special effects. Why would Charlie have a cable here? Maybe that's why there weren't any blood all over the tent, neither on him. What if he didn't actually escape with the car, but through the tunnel below the table, which was just the next day under reconstruction? Now watch this.
Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
They posted a shooter's picture, but look what's on the screen. It's on New Zealand. And this island is called Good Island, which is connected to the Valhalla Danish house.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
The United States run federal witness protection program so they can relocate anyone outside of US and even give them new identities and documents and provide them financial support. New Zealand is included in this. It's who opened the new FBI office in New Zealand this year. They're just distracting you from the biggest secret of our lifetime. Comment secret and I will send it to you.
That she somehow had it coming. What do you say to people who justified his death? You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that?
All right, this is beyond obvious. I feel like we should be past this, and we should all agree on this at this point. The most obvious thing for me is like the robotic expressions and like the misplaced anger. It's like insanely obvious. If somebody told me that I looked this way when I lie, I literally wouldn't go outside. I would keep practicing because this is actually really bad. I'm not even being funny. It's safe to say at this point, this woman is not grieving. She's grifting 100%. At first, I just thought it was you-know-who that got him. It seemed pretty obvious. It still does. But now it seems she's directly involved. I just seen a picture of her with Netanyahu's son, who Charlie declined to go see days before he died, who he was pushing away from his interests days before he died. So, I don't know. This is obvious. Like, this girl, like, why are you not at home taking care of the kids? They just lost their dad. You're doing a press run? Like, you guys know that, right? This is a media run. This is like the same thing as Ariana Grande and her sleep paralysis demon on tour. Like she's doing a press run like it's for a movie or something. Make no mistake about it. We are being force-fed her because she's willing to play ball and Charlie wasn't. In the way she's like getting mad, this is not like real anger. This is performative anger. This is like someone who wants you to see that they're mad. Like, okay, we get it. Calm down. Everything this girl does is performative. It's not even a debate anymore. It's just like an IQ test. Whether you think she's sincere or not is the IQ test. I'm not saying she would be obligated to, but she's definitely not beating the allegations by being there every time we open our phones or turn on the news or turn on anything. She's right there, grieving for the camera and assuming his roles and everything he built up until meeting her. It's like, this gives me the same vibe that Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain gave me, honestly. Only Courtney Love at least was slick about it and didn't do a media tour about it. I don't know. All I know, though, is like, this girl's full of it, obviously. Not to mention the Shabbat Shalom. Charlie's talked about this many times. He was a Christian. Like, why would he say that? And why would you make sure that people know he said that? Like, I don't know. I can tell you from my own experience, masking emotions like that this is like really, really bad. And I wouldn't even think she's a psychopath just because of how bad she is at this. Whereas I think we would naturally be a little bit better. So we'll give her that. She's clearly not a psychopath because it's horrible. But she's definitely being performative, lying, and not grieving at all. Like, even a little bit, I don't think, to be honest.
Distract yourself. Obstacles don't work.
Thinks we're enemies. You're a genius. We got it in the bag. It's funny how nobody realizes we work for the same people. I mean, how stupid can society be? They're so stupid. I think I'm gonna hop on the podcast tomorrow and say you're a reptilian lizard person. It should spare us a couple days.
That's perfect. You saw my Fox News interview, right? Everyone thinks my eyes changed. So stupid.
Oh, of course, that last one by X Munson was AI generated. You know this show is purely for entertainment purposes only, right, folks? The next double shot is from Lenny Boy and end of the world news, and then we're over the Kirkopedia files.
So what happened to Candace Owens? She was going hard on bringing in names and receipts and kept us at the edge of our seats for months, and then she met with Erica Kirk behind closed doors for 4 hours. Comes out basically with the same TPUSA conclusions about Tyler possibly being the shooter. What we're witnessing is a reality TV show with fake feuds in front of the camera and handshakes made behind closed doors. But we see it again and again with influencers reaching a critical mass. We feel like they sell out, like they gave in to the global elite, like they left us to dry, like they're being asked to calm the angry mob. Well, whether that's true or not, why are we sitting here for some talk show host or some influencer to tell us something we can figure out for ourselves using our God-given common sense? I don't trust Erica like I don't trust Candace. I don't trust Trump like I don't trust CNN. They're here distracting us while our rights are being snatched from under us. They're not putting the food on your table. You do that, and you shouldn't expect a reality TV star or media people to have your best interests at heart. We're not part of the club.
Different ways to see it through. All the same in the end. You're your star. That's who you are. You have to win. And yo, I need you so.
In this week's episode of Everything is Fake. Earlier this week, Zio's shill, Erica Kirk, called out Vatican shill Candace Owens for the accusations she made against TPUSA and their involvement in her husband's murder.
Call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want. Go down that rabbit hole. Whatever.
What rabbit hole? The one where both of her parents are directly or indirectly tied to the DOD?
And you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this. No.
And then Candace was like, oh no, she didn't.
Because it's about me. It's indirect, but it's also about me. And don't worry, in case you think it's not about me, she is going to name check me on stage with Barry Weiss on Saturday.
Wait, I missed that. Who is this all about again?
It's about me.
And then the patron saint of Lost Cat Boys was a little upset it wasn't all about him and decided to chime in.
Everybody's afraid of a black Karen. I'm not. I'm a groiper.
And then the rest of the influencer industrial complex decided to join the conversation, hurling accusations that the other side is the Fed. You're a Fed. No, you're a Fed. And the truth is that they're all Fed adjacent. And as I watched the sheeple follow their leaders into battle, all I could think about was a speech that Dr. James Giordano gave West Point 7 years ago. And all you really need to know about this guy is that he serves as the chair of neuroethics program for the IEE Brain Project and an appointed member of the Neuroethics Legal and Social Issue Advisory Panel of the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA.
We can take that step to go one step further. The more I know about you and the more I know about the way your brain works as individuals, groups, communities, even populations, the more I can utilize non-kinetic means such as informational means of narratives, iconographies, semiotics to influence your emotions and your behaviors. We can do this subliminally through computer images. We can do this more liminally through the types of engagement interactions that we engage through psychological operations and informational operations.
And I recommend watching the rest of that speech. But all that to say, people don't realize how powerful and smart the enemy is with their tactics to conquer and divide us, which is why I think we should reject it all. You know, if it's coming from any of these voices within the influence industrial complex, it probably isn't the full truth. It's propaganda. But if you want the full truth, it might take some time, but it begins with having a relationship with our Father in heaven and our Messiah, Jesus. John 16, when the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth, right? That's the Holy Spirit. So have a good day and God bless.
Daddy, you gotta go check Mommy trunk. She bought 50 candles from Bath and Body Works. She's hiding them in the back. Go look, Daddy.
Looking out, son.
Uh-oh, here she comes.
That last one was from La Madrina Blanco. Buckle in, folks, because it's a holiday show, so we're going to be running a little bit over, and I can do that on these platforms. The next triple shot is from Oh My God Got Worms. That's the chicken one. Keith Goldsby, Isaiah Robin Live, and another comedy thrown in there from La Madrina Blanco.
He discovered that there was an artificial film on the turkey leg, similar to plastic. This is not cheap meat. This is a well-known meat brand. Some people online even suspect it might be 3D printed meat, and the site is giving American consumers chills. This turkey leg was produced by a major mainstream manufacturer, the kind you can find on any grocery store shelf. When she opened the package, she thought the outer layer was normal turkey skin, but as she began cleaning it, she realized the entire drumstick was wrapped in a thick, smooth, rubber-like membrane. She tried pushing her finger through it. It wouldn't break. She tried pulling it off. It wouldn't budge. She finally had to cut it open with a knife and peel the entire sheet off like industrial plastic wrap. And the most unsettling part, the sound, texture, and elasticity of that layer were almost identical to plastic. Some people say it's a processing film. Some say it's a moisture retention coating. But many others have a far more alarming suspicion. Is this a new form of 3D printed meat quietly being tested on the public? Who is altering our food? And why aren't we being told? What do you think about this?
Here at the Capitol to say what? Bioengineered chicken is delicious in soup. Delicious! No more fear-mongering. It's safe, it's sustainable, and it tastes amazing.
My grandma's noodle soup tastes even better with it. Our kids love it.
This is the future of comfort food. Good for the planet and great for your bowl.
Trump is moving to take Venezuela because we are about to lose economic activity from Taiwan due to a Chinese invasion. The Telegraph is reporting from a top-secret document that the U.S. military has assessed that it would be destroyed if a confrontation happened between Washington and Beijing over Taiwan. The document points to over-reliance on Chinese goods, along with their hypersonic missiles that can destroy aircraft carriers within minutes, which leads into what we are doing into Venezuela. In Taiwan, we have economic activity at about $130 billion per year because of chips, AI, and other things. At a modest recovery at $60 a barrel, Venezuela could output $190 billion per year. It is now clear and obvious to me. China is about to make a move on Taiwan, and we are taking Venezuela
because we would not be able to economically survive without the output from that oil. This is why the president and the government is not making a case to Congress. It would induce a panic. It's the only reason why we have 25% of all of our forces right off the coast of Venezuela, currently in a pre-World War.
So a bodyguard who goes by the name Big Homie CC talked about in an interview meeting a reptilian that shapeshifted. Yes, I know that sounded crazy, but they are out there, and I've spoken to them before. Check out what he had to say.
The lizard man in the club?
Lizard man?
Well, it wasn't a man, it was a lady. When the girl Jen, her long tongue, my cousin with me, he a police officer right now. After this event, he said, bro, I'm not doing this bodyguard stuff no more.
Yeah.
I'm like, what you talking about? He said, bro, I just seen the devil, don't move. He said, look, turn to the left and look straight across. I looked across, I seen a little lady, brunette, short. And I said, bro, I'm looking. He said, just keep looking. And in an instant, the whole face was different. I didn't see the hair no more. The tongue came out to her own ear. Shoot. You know me, bro. I'm like, man, hold on. So I stepped down off the couch and I walk over there. As I'm walking over there, you know, she get out my line of sight briefly. But when I get over there, it's this little normal looking lady again. And I had on a Breitling watch. And she's like, ooh, I like that watch. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, what's your name? She said her name was Jen. Gave me her Facebook page and everything.
Jen?
Her name was Jen.
Like G-I-N?
Yes. So look, I'm glad you said that. So look, I'm like, man, she said her name was Jen.
Wow.
So I go back to my cousin. He said, bro, why you go over there? I said, bro, I just had to see for myself. He said, what you see? I said, bro, when I went over there, she looked normal, but I felt like I was a hamburger in front of a crocodile.
Super interesting how he said her name was Jen. And we know that in some different religions, Jinn speaks of creatures apart from God. However, he also says she shapeshifted. I spoke different times about how there's shapeshifters out there, there's reptilians out there. There aren't just human beings walking the earth, people. And with all this technology, I believe we're going to start seeing them more and more. Just be sure you're right with God. Because he also speaks about how these things can't mess with children of God.
I saw the whole thing walking back from the Candy Cane Depot. I saw the whole thing. Okay, it looks like we have an eyewitness here. What's your name, sir? Don't matter what my name is.
So that was the World War III one and also the shape-shifting reptilian one. In that last one, in the comments, a lady wrote that she worked in a nursing home and there was an elderly woman watching the video of Erica Kirk where her eyes were doing that crazy stuff and shifting. And the elderly lady said, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. And the caregiver asked her what? And she said, that's a demon. And it can't hurt you, something to the effect of if you're a Christian, and then the typical spiritual warfare, calling on the name of the Lord. We have so much to learn from our older generations, because back then they knew how to pray and rebuke and protect themselves. That lady was able to teach the younger caregiver something very important that day. Next up, Joe D69 and Im Zeffy about the Patriot Games versus the Hunger Games, with some hillbilly hellfire clips thrown in for fun.
Got a badge and a tank top, walking barefoot through glass drops. Santa ain't the only one who's got a list and a gun. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
So if you thought that 2025 was a heck of a ride, then you need to get your seatbelt on and strap yourself in, because what's in store for 2026 will have you saying, wow. Donald Trump has announced that in September of 2026, America will be hosting what's called the Patriot Games. And if you take a look and listen to what was said in the statement, these games seem to resemble something that many of you might be very familiar with. And I'm referring to the games back in ancient Rome, which looked very familiar to Patriot Games, but did not have the same name. And here's exactly to what I'm referring to and what others are referring to as well. Take a look at what I've put up for you behind me. I'll step out of the way. You can screen grab it and read it for yourself.
So it says gladiator combat in ancient Rome was a popular violent spectacle in amphitheaters, featuring trained fighters, often slaves, criminals, or volunteers, battling each other or animals for public entertainment, evolving from funeral rites to grand state events. While often deadly, fights weren't always to the death. They followed rules, had referees, and ended with a surrender, finger raised, or by sponsor crowd decision, with many skilled fighters surviving to achieve fame or freedom. These contests showcased different fighting styles and armor types like Retiarius versus Secutor, blending skill, strategy, and drama for massive audiences.
And also, while making his statements, Donald Trump also claims that there will be a lot of cool things like great gifts to celebrate our 250th birthday celebration. As a matter of fact, take a listen to it.
In my campaign for president, I pledged to give America the most spectacular birthday party the world has ever seen for America's 250th anniversary on July 4th next year. In the fall, we will host the first ever Patriot Games, an unprecedented 4-day athletic event featuring the greatest high school athletes, one young man and one young woman from each state and territory. But I promise there will be no men playing in women's sports. You're not going to see that.
So if you heard what he said in the speech, high school aged boys and girls will be headed to D.C. for the competition and to compete against one another. So basically, Olympic-style competition. So a lot of comparisons after this announcement have been made to a certain movie that came out not too long ago. And the movie that I'm referring to and many others is listed right here. If you get a chance, go check out the book and read it for yourself. And let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what you think about these Patriot Games that are supposed to take place next year, September 2026. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
So, of course, he's referring to the Hunger Games, and this has been trending for some reason this week. I mean, Trump made the speech before he was elected, and I've seen no less than 10 videos on this subject crop up all this week. All of a sudden, it's hitting the circuit, and I'm not really sure why now, because back when he gave that speech, when he said territories, it reminded me of districts, and Hunger Games came to mind, even though I haven't read the series or watched the movies.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. You got Hans Gruber falling from up high, while them jingle bells are ringing in the sky. Yippee-ki-yay, it's Christmas Day.
What if the Hunger Games wasn't just a movie, but a visual representation of the world we're living in right now? Stick around for a second, because I'm about to blow your mind. Think about it. In the film, society is divided into districts, each separated by class, race, labor, culture, and purpose. Each district solely exists to produce something specific for the capital. Each district kept in survival mode so nobody can rise above it. Now look at real life. We're divided by race, gender, politics, income, ideology, engineered separation. Countries are assigned specific roles. Some produce tech, some produce food, some produce labor, some produce warfare, some produce raw materials. Every corner of our world is just a different district, feeding the same centralized elite system. In the Hunger Games, people obey because they're ruled by fear. Speak out, you're punished. Question narrative, silence. Break the rules, you disappear. Real life isn't any different, it's just rebranded. Censorship, shadow bans, cancel culture, character assassination, legal intimidation. Same structure, different packaging. Now let's talk about the games themselves. Sending innocent people to die, broadcasted conflict for entertainment, turning war into spectacle. Tell me that doesn't mirror our world exactly. Innocent people forced into battles that we didn't create, fighting wars that only make billionaires richer. All while the public watches from the screen like it's a show. In the movie, the capital children live in excess, controlling resources, mocking the suffering below them. Look at today, 1% of the entire world holds nearly all of the wealth. Governments dancing, bending over backwards for corporations. Celebrities parading with distractions while the system beneath them quietly tightens. And the rebels, even in the movie, they're called unstable, dangerous, delusional, simply because they see the machine for what it really is. Sound familiar? Truth seekers, free thinkers, people who question the narrative, people labeled conspiracy theorists. Not because they're wrong, but because they're early. But here's the part that everybody forgets. In the Hunger Games, the rebellion didn't start with armies. It started with awareness. One person waking up. One person refusing to play the role the Capitol wrote for them. And when enough people opened their eyes, the entire system collapsed under its own weight. Sure, it took a war, but that's coming too. What if the Hunger Games wasn't predicting the future, but actually revealing the present? What if the story wasn't entertainment, but instruction? And what if the real rebellion starts with people just like you and I waking the rest of us up? Because history has shown one truth over and over again. Because when people remember their true power, that's when empires fall. And we are much closer to that moment than they want you to believe.
Some folks want their Hallmark movies with their cookies and their milk. But I need machine guns blazing and a Christmas spirit kill.
Next, we'll get this Tulsi Gabbard one out of the way. It's about 5 minutes long, so bear with me, folks. This one courtesy of the White House and Jimmy Supreme Music.
Just afterwards. Tulsi, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. At President Trump's direction and with the support and coordination of the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified Oversight Majority Staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, they deserve accountability, and they deserve justice. The records that we released on Friday that were ODNI records, Senator Chuck Grassley's release on Monday of what is known as the Clinton Annex, which was an appendix to the Department of Justice Office of Inspector General's 2018 report, as well as the House Intelligence Committee's majority oversight report that we're releasing today, all come back to and confirm the same report. There was a gross politicization and manipulation of intelligence by the Obama administration intended to delegitimize President Trump even before he was inaugurated, ultimately usurping the will of the American people. I'm going to go over the key findings from the House Intelligence report, which investigated the claims that were made by an intelligence community assessment ordered by President Obama and published in January of 2017. First, Putin's principal interests relating to the 2016 election were to undermine faith in the U.S. democratic process, not show any preference of a certain candidate. In fact, this report shows Putin held back from leaking compromising material on Hillary Clinton prior to the election, instead planning to release it after the election to weaken what Moscow viewed as an inevitable Clinton presidency. In the January 2017 intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered, John Brennan, who was CIA director at the time, and the intelligence community intentionally suppressed intelligence that showed Putin was saving the most damaging material that he had in his possession about Hillary Clinton until after her potential and likely victory. The report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump. Brennan and the IC misled lawmakers by referencing the debunked Steele dossier to assess quote-unquote Russia's plans and intentions, falsely suggesting that this dossier had intelligence value when he knew that it was discredited. The intelligence community excluded significant intelligence and ignored or selectively quoted reliable intelligence that contradicted the intelligence community assessment's key findings on Putin's alleged support for Trump. Including this intelligence reporting would have exposed the ICA's claim as implausible, if not ridiculous. The intelligence community assessment omitted reliably sourced information, such as how some Russian intelligence officials were quote-unquote planning for candidate Hillary Clinton's victory, while others assessed neither Trump nor Clinton would respect Russia's interests. As was reflected in the ODNI documents that we released on Friday, multiple intelligence community assessments released in the months leading up to the November 2016 election concluded that Russia had neither the intent nor capability to impact the outcome of the U.S. election. On December 5th of 2016, the FBI and ODNI gave the House Intelligence Committee its first post-election classified briefing, in which there was no mention of Putin aspiring to elect Trump by either agency.
If you like Maggie and the sound of her voice and want to keep her airing quality shows, I'd be much obliged if you donate to the network, because those folks are dirt poor and rely on your contributions to keep the lights on.
The next triple shot, the first two are about the retail stores charging for returns from Retail Boss and ABC News, and then Rawson reports. The third one from Calvin Johnson is major stores are announcing food recalls. Have any of you ever seen that show, The Good Girls? Because the first video reminds me of the scam that they were repeatedly running in the retail stores with buying a whole bunch of stuff and then returning it to launder money.
Changing their return policies just before the holidays. Consumer correspondent Becky Worley has the details for us. Good morning, Becky.
Michael, good morning. Some major retailers are changing their return policies to crack down on possible fraud. Outdoor retailer REI confirming to ABC News that a small fraction of frequent returners will be banned from any exchanges or returns, saying members in this group had an average return rate of 79% and returned $2,400 worth of gear in the past year, with $1,400 of that product being used. While these members are still welcome to shop with us, they will no longer be welcome to make returns or exchanges. Now, Target just announced a new right to refuse refunds and exchanges policy if they suspect fraud. Plus, earlier this year, Amazon tacking on a processing fee to items that have a high return rate. So changes there.
But Becky, if this is something that's going to affect those who are honest consumers, especially those who are buying gifts that frequently get returned.
Right. From my reporting, this is not intended to impact your standard consumers. It's really about fraudulent repeat offenders that cost all of us in the long run, because that cost is passed down to us. The National Retail Federation estimating retailers lost more than $100 billion to the practice in 2023, adding that more than 13% of returns were bogus, like returned items that were used but not defective. That's a practice called wardrobing, when they're they've been used, or when shoplifted merchandise is returned with fake receipts, or even high-dollar items that are returned with knockoff copies worth pennies on the dollar. Now, it might inadvertently affect a very small number of consumers, so it is good for all of us to be aware of the return policy whenever you shop, especially during the holiday season, Michael.
Bye, Santa.
Bye. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
See you tomorrow. Ho, ho, ho.
Major stores are quietly adding return fees right now. I found out who's doing it, and I'm naming names. Hit the thumbs up on this video, share with friends, and subscribe so you never miss my money-saving tricks. Abercrombie returns will now cost you $7 by mail. American Eagle, $5. JCPenney, $8 if you use their label. Nordstrom Rack, $9.95 per return. Even Macy's is now charging $9.99. Here's the hack with Macy's. Join the free Star Rewards program and you skip the fee. It's free to sign up, so do it. So what's the workaround here? For all of them, do in-store returns whenever possible. They're still free. For Amazon, always pick the label-free, box-free drop-off places like Kohl's or Whole Foods or UPS to avoid being charged.
Now, in case you haven't heard about this yet, there are major recalls being announced from huge retailers like Costco, Walmart, Target, and even Publix. First up is the company called Ventura Foods. They had recalled over 4,000 different types of sauces and salad dressings that were both sold at Costco and Publix. This came shortly after people had started to realize that there were black plastic materials found within these products. This one's very concerning, but infant formula from the brand called Maggie Heart was recently recalled several months ago and pulled from the shelves. However, it's still being found on store shelves. I can't believe this is an actual true story, but there's a store that had been selling this product that actually set up sale signs beside it, even though it was recalled for botulism. Then we have fruit cocktail that's being pulled from Walmarts all across the nation as well. Make sure to grab a screenshot because these are the specific lot numbers with the expiration date of September 1st, 27. And lastly, coffee is also being recalled in 10 different states because of a consumer risk warning. Maybe not as serious, but these coffee pods were recalled because they're advertised as decaf when truly they have a considerable amount of caffeine. I keep you guys updated about the most important things happening in the news, so be sure to add me and come back tomorrow for another update.
You're so good at Christmas kidding.
It's one of my top skills, along with changing duvets and cooking rice.
Right, so what should I get Mother then, Mr. Father Christmas? Because last year she said not to get her anything, so I didn't get her anything, and then she did sad face all day, which is very mixed messaging.
What about getting an experience, like a hot air balloon ride, or zorbing?
What's zorbing?
It's when you roll down a hill in a giant see-through ball.
She's an old lady, Kevin, not a gerbil.
I'm with Snoopy. Next up is the weekly update with Kay Benet.
I'm so happy you picked up, child, because I'm calling you from the car because I got so much tea for you. But I've been ripping and running and booting and bucking trying to get stuff for Christmas. By the way, before I give you this tea, get your Donald John Quavius merch in time for Christmas. All right, the link's in the bio. Now, listen. Tom Holman said he's going to do a deep dive on Somali visas. Yeah, so all of that waste, fraud, and abuse, the scamming off the taxpayer dollars. The good news is, honey, you might be going home for Christmas, so you're going to be able to spend your money at home. Merry Christmas. You're welcome. Anyway, everybody's upset because Donald John Quavius is taking Martin Luther King's birthday in Juneteenth out of the list of free days for national parks. Well, I had to see which days were going to be free, and they are as follows. Listen up. President's Day, Memorial Day, Flag Day, which coincidentally is Donald John Quavius' birthday, Independence Day, National Parks birthday, Constitution Day, Theodore Roosevelt's birthday, and Veterans Day. I'm going to tell y'all what I see out of all of this. I think we're trying to be a more united America. There's no white America, black America, this American, that American. We're just American. We're going to stand united so we won't fall for anything, okay? We won't be divided. So, guys, get your panties out of a bunch and quit all this. We're Americans. All right, now, off of that. Illinois will continue to tax tips, child. You know Donald John Quavius had in his big, beautiful bill that you won't get taxed on tips and overtime and stuff. Well, Illinois opted out of that because Pritzker the Hut, that greedy little... Apparently, he's not making enough money off of the taxes that he's already taking from you guys. So, good luck, Illinois. May the odds be ever in your favor. Now, listen. Donald John Quavius is giving farmers $12 billion, honey. Yeah, everybody was so upset saying this trade war with China is hurting our farmers and all this other stuff. Oh, the trade wars, the tariffs, blah, 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 boo, 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 boo. And Trump said, I tell you what, give me the tariff money. I'm going to send it directly to him. You welcome. I'm not tired of winning. I don't think I'll ever be tired of winning. I got some more tea to tell y'all, so I'm going to call y'all back later. But that's it for now. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Donald John Quavius Trump. I love you, and I call you.
'Tis the season to deport 'em. Fa la 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 la. We love ICE and we support 'em. Fa la 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 la. Send them on one-way vacations. Fa la 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 la.
Next up, while I play my promo for my good buddy Pat Carr, go grab a pen or pencil because after that is the recipe for French Country Chicken by Brit Dip. The entry music, sometimes my halftime music, and the ending music are all provided by my good buddy Pat Carr, a wonderful original musician from Louisiana, now residing in Colorado. You can check him out at http://www.itunes.com/Pat Carr. Pat's at AllMusic, Apple Music, YouTube, SoundClick, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes. He is all over the place. Please check him out, support his music, and tell him Maggie sent you.
We make this chicken dish every week as a family, and it's our favorite. First, heavily salt the chicken in a bowl. You're going to brine it in salt water for about 20 minutes to 2 hours. Dice 1 large onion, and now it's time to pat your chicken dry. I just lay it on paper towel upside down. Important to use boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I think we can all agree making chicken is not glamorous, so streamlining this process is really important. Heavily olive oil a baking dish, and then you're going to pour in some peas, then top it off with a diced onion you cut. And this is important, put your chicken upside down. One of the main reasons this dish is so delicious is because of the fresh herbs. Now let's drizzle the chicken with some olive oil, following with some salt, fresh thyme, and rosemary. Exclamation mark, fresh thyme and rosemary. And then lots of honey. Then you better garlic powder that chicken like there's no tomorrow. Okay, let's flip the chicken over now. I would definitely recommend a bigger baking dish than this, but I had to make extra chicken tonight, so it's a little crowded. But we're gonna repeat that process again. A truckload of garlic powder, some salt and pepper, lots of honey. Drizzle it over again with some more olive oil. You better put on that fresh chopped rosemary and thyme, or you're just gonna be wasting your time. This is the backbone of the dish. Then place it in the oven at 450 degrees and bake for about 50 minutes to 1 hour. Dancing may or may not be included with this dish. If I had to give you my number one thing that I make, this would be it. Tonight I'm serving it with some rice. Forget to follow for some more delicious family.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Next up, for another positive shot, the good news girl.
A husky recently ended up saving an entire neighborhood block after he would not stop digging holes in his yard. Kobe the husky lives in Philadelphia, and he's never been all that much of a digger, so his human Chanel thought it was a little bit strange when he suddenly picked up the habit last month. And it wasn't just a little digging here and there. Kobe was digging non-stop, constantly asking to go out, just to go to the same spot and keep making his hole by the sidewalk bigger. But instead of becoming frustrated by the new behavior, Chanel recognized that it was out of character and trusted her intuition that Kobe was trying to tell her something. She inspected the hole and she didn't see anything, but she did have a gas detection device on hand because of a prior gas leak that she'd had repaired. So she used the device on the hole and it immediately detected gas, and a lot of it. When a crew came out to fix the problem, they told her that if it hadn't been detected now, it would have started to leak into all the houses on the block. They said that if that happened, it not only could have caused serious health issues for her and all of her neighbors, but also that something as simple as a light switch could have caused an explosion. The crew worked for 3 days straight to fix the problem, and in the process, they ended up finding and repairing 3 other main gas leaks in the area caused by aging pipes. Now, thanks to Kobe's determination and Chanel's intuition, the whole neighborhood block is now safe from a potentially disastrous situation. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
Since we're talking about puppy dogs, this would be a good time to speak about rescuing an animal from your local shelter. I realize by the time some of you listen to this, Christmas Day for you may be over, but the holidays are still here, and any time is a good time to rescue an animal from the shelter. They are overrun right now. The local private ones that I donate to and support, their people that are fostering their animals are inundated. In the last week alone in this area, there have been at least 10 dogs and cats that were found wandering roads, running on sidewalks, and some were ice covered and had the nice people that found them not taking them in, they would surely have perished in the freezing cold temperatures that we've had. Please make sure to take your animals inside when it's cold, and if you can't afford to adopt or don't have the means to adopt an animal from a shelter, please contribute food and supplies, blankets to those places if you're able. If you're in New York, the 21C that just passed has some good things in it, but there are a lot of bad things in there that could potentially force a lot of the local smaller rescues to close, and also for many more animals to be euthanized. If you see a stray animal outside, I know you're not supposed to, but bring it in, at least give it some food. Keep it warm for a storm. If you have a garage, make a little spot in your garage and leave the door partially open. Anything is better than nothing. These animals are suffering. I'm hearing heartbreaking, absolutely heart-wrenching reports every single day. And I'm going to be honest with you. There are a lot of reports in our area of animals being stolen out of the yards, and I think that we have an element of really cruel people, not only that are doing horrendous things with them due to witchcraft, but are simply taking the animals and driving them away and dropping them. Why, do you ask? Because it would make it easier to rob a home without a dog, number one. And number two, they're just very cruel, sick people out there. I'd read a story several months ago where liberals were being encouraged to take Republicans' animals out of their yards and do just that, move them and drop them. If an animal legitimately finds its way to you, or you find one that isn't chipped, that is obviously looking for a place to live, if it's starving, if it's cold, if it's sick, that could be a sign that you're meant to take that animal. Angels come in many different forms. If you're alone for the holidays and you were wishing for someone to spend it with, and a kitty cat or a puppy dog makes its way to you, or you find one that's obviously in need of a home, please consider it. It may be the greatest gift, not only that you could give that animal, but that you could give yourself. And if you don't have the time to be able to commit to an animal to take care of it full time, but you have some time available, please consider fostering as a short-term alternative to help that animal be saved from possible euthanasia. If you're in New York State, please write to your local elected officials to have them look at and change the articles in 21C that would cause more animals to be euthanized and to potentially have these smaller rescues close down. Sign the petitions that are out there, but also make the phone calls, please. And lastly, if you see elderly people for the holidays, please shovel their driveways, hold their doors for them. If you're able to offer some extra food, please bring them over a meal or some extra groceries. I'm sure they'll be very thankful. Everybody's struggling right now. Families with children that are not accepting or able to get the Medicaid benefits that a lot of the illegals are still getting. Please consider maybe supporting one of those families or sponsoring a family for the season. I know it's kind of late on that, but better late than never. It's Gen X time with Bugsy Boopsy.
Gen Xers never have a hobby.
You say Gen Xers don't have hobbies like it's a bad thing. But you know what we do have? Responsibilities, repair, and repressed rage. See, we're the sandwich generation stuck between kids like you who can't drive and parents who shouldn't drive, and we're holding them both together with duct tape, caffeine, and cuss words. You think I got time for watercolor painting? Little miss, my hobby is wondering when my next vehicle repair is going to be and when my mental lapse is going to happen, and it's probably at the same time. You want to know what I do for fun? I mow. I manage chaos. I fix things that break, and when nothing's broken, I'm learning how to repair something that just might break. My me time involves muttering at the lawnmower and pretending the smell of gasoline counts as aromatherapy. You know what I collect? Things that might come in handy. We don't build model trains, we build our kids' confidence and our own ulcers. We don't craft, we cope. That's our creative outlet, coping creatively with constant crap. We grew up analog, and then we both built and learned the digital world. Now we scroll our sanity away between bills and back pain. Our relaxation is sitting silently in the dark, holding a beverage and whispering, "Don't talk to me until the caffeine kicks in." So no, we don't have hobbies. We have household hazard management, half-finished home projects, and high-functioning hopelessness. But we do it with pride, because we're Gen X, the forgotten middle generation children of mayhem. Now back off or get mixed up in the mess.
That's my show for tonight, folks. Thank you all for sticking around a little bit extra time tonight and listening and having some fun with me, hopefully. I personally don't celebrate the traditional Christmas on December 25th, but I do enjoy my time spent with my family, friends, and loved ones during this holiday season because a lot of the traditions that we follow this time of year originated from pagan origins, and it's my belief that Jesus was not born on December 25th. That's just my thing. Whatever you choose to do this week, next week, and throughout the year, take care of yourselves and each other and respect others' traditions. Just because I'm not all about the commercialism and all the stuff that goes along with December 25th per se, doesn't mean that I don't respect what they want to do and let them have at it and participate with them in a manner that I feel comfortable. So I extend all of you a heartfelt thanks for listening, for being here with me tonight. I hope that you have a blessed, beautiful holiday season or week, whatever it is that you follow. And we'll see you next week. Good night, cannolis. Oh, and just really quickly, my mistake, folks. The article for the New York State Animals is 26C, not 21C.